And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Dolly Safran, who during her near-death experience saw her grandmother, and today we're going to learn about it. Dolly, thank you for being on our podcast, and welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, Dolly, if you don't mind, let's start on the day that your first NDE happened and go from there.
I was really, really sick. I'd been sick for about a month. I had infectious mononucleosis, and they were worried that I wasn't going to make it. I had lost a tremendous amount of weight at the age of 5, and my body seemed to be shutting down. My physician was called. He came in. I was in my grandparents' room. They gave it up to me because it was the only room in the house that had air conditioning. They were trying to keep me comfortable. I remember laying there, and I knew something was about to happen to me. I could feel myself leaving. I was tired. I didn't want to be in my body anymore. I was in pain. It hurt. And suddenly, something must have really gone wrong. I found out later that my spleen ruptured. But I just sort of walked out. I came out of my body and went high up in the room. I was looking down at everything, and I saw my great-grandmother and my mother standing in the doorway, and they were upset, and they were freaking out. And I looked down and I saw my doctor pushing down on me and trying to breathe into my mouth. And I thought, oh, wow. And I had no time to really consider what this was. I just, I was somewhere else. When I came to somewhere else, I was on a giant portico, like a huge porch. And there was a big building that it was attached to. And I'm looking out over the edge of the portico away from the building, and I see unbelievable fields of green, and I see huge copses of trees, tons of trees, and I see animals, and I'm looking and I'm thinking, wow, and I look up and I expect to see a blue sky, but I see brilliant white light. And I looked down at myself and I realized that I was light. And I touched myself and I realized, but I felt solid to myself somehow. I felt whole. And I realized I wasn't in pain anymore. And I started to hear something to my right, and I looked, and on the other, like, here's this portico, I'm right up on the edge, and then over here, I see a group of people, and my grandmother, who had just passed away, was standing there looking at me and smiling. And she held her hands out like this. At that moment, somebody put their hand on my shoulder behind me and told me, he said, Dolly, I love you. And I have something to tell you. And I was transfixed by the voice. I felt like I knew this voice. And he directed my attention to what I was looking at. And he gave me some ideas about what my life was going to entail. He said, you're not going to stay here. You're going to go back. And he said, but I want you to hear what I have to tell you. And he said, animals were going to be a big part of my life. He said that I had a path. It was a hard path, but I could do it. I'm strong. And he said, don't fear, which I find amazing at this point in my life. And then my grandmother blew me a kiss, and I went. And I came right back to my body. I was in an ambulance. They were doing all kinds of things to me. I slammed in hard. I mean, I felt myself slam. So I was mad. I was trying to leave again. I was trying to think, how do I stop breathing now? I did not want to be there anymore. I was like, oh my God, how did this happen to me? I don't want to be here. And I was fighting with them. I was angry. 5 years old. I'm not okay about this. And I'm trying to tell them what just happened to me. And it was just some ambulance guys. They didn't, I didn't think they were paying attention to me. And I'm talking about it. I'm like, where's my mother? Where's my mother? I didn't see her again until we got to the hospital, and they were doing all kinds of stuff to me. I had to go into surgery because I had a ruptured spleen, and they had to stitch it shut and stop all the bleeding. I had massive bleeding going on. I was miserable. Miserable. And all I could think about was what just happened to me. I would not let it leave me. I would lay there for 2 or 3 days, even with my mom encouraging me to get better, wanting to leave my body and go back. I was transfixed on, I'm doing this. I'm going back. But it just never happened to me. I had to keep. And then I sort of accepted this situation and kept moving on with it. It took me a long time after that just to heal from what had happened to me and get over the mono. I told my mom about it. I told my great-grandmother about it. They were shocked. They realized that I did see them. They were shocked that I saw what the doctor was doing to me. And it caused a huge conversation in our family about what happens when you pass away. And we all just sort of, I come from a family that's psychic anyway, so everybody just sort of let me get it off my chest and talk about it. I was allowed to work through the experience. And I realized that at a very, very young age that we don't really die, that this is just a vehicle that we travel in. And I was just in wonderment for many years after that, many.
I find it very interesting that you were on a building, a porch, and looking out over this pasture and fields and animals. Did you happen to get any sense of the building itself and what it was?
It was massive. I mean, it was massive. Like, I can only equate it to like a big, like a castle. That's what I was thinking at that age. Like I'm in a castle somewhere. And the porch was probably, in my adult mind now, thinking about it, it could have been, 50 feet in circumference. It was that big up against that building. And the wall of the portico, it would be a railing, but it was a wall. I was standing there and it came up to me about chest high. Hold on, I'm trying really hard. It came up to me chest high and hold on, I'm sorry. So to me at 5 years old, so as an adult, it probably would have come up, probably about my hips. So it wasn't that high, but it felt high up to me. The animals that I was seeing were like, I saw horses, I saw cattle, I saw deer, I saw birds, I could hear chirping in the background. I could hear water in the background, but although I didn't see where the water was, but I could hear it like rushing water. It fascinated me. I mean, I was really trying to pick out all the detail of it. And what was amazing to me is that it was real. I mean, I could smell it even. I had that tactile sense going on. I could smell it. I could hear it. I could see it. If you'd given me a leaf off one of those trees, I'm pretty sure I would have been able to taste what it tasted like. That kind of thing.
Did you happen to see any of the architecture? Like, did it look Greek or Romanesque or more modern?
It didn't look modern to me at all. It looked more, not even Roman. This sounds weird, okay? I've seen a lot of architecture in my life. My dad was an architect. I've read through all kinds of books. He taught me how to draw. And it looks more Sumerian looking, that type of architecture. Yeah.
The person who tapped you on your shoulder and told you that they loved you, was that a family member?
Not in my earthly family. I think it was my family there. And I think this person had authority over me. In other words, this person helped guide my life. This person was somebody that I already knew. I recognized his voice instantly, but I never got to turn around and look him in the eye. He'd never let me do that. So I'm veiled from it. I can't give you a name and I can't tell you who he was. I just know that I knew him. I had love for him. He was important to me, but I didn't get to see him. I don't think they would have let me, or he would have let me.
So are you saying you think it was a spirit guide, someone from your soul group, or someone from a family from a different realm?
That's a good question. I've had a long time to munch this over, and I kind of got the feeling that this is my soul group, but it's who guides my soul group. In other words, this is a person who has been watching over me for a long time, through lifetimes. And I know for a fact that I'm not originally, we all travel the universe, okay? We aren't just from Earth, we are from other places. And this is someone who's in my soul. I'm not from Earth per se. I originated somewhere else on another part of the universe, but I'm here right now. And he was here for me for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain it any other way.
And do you think that place was somewhere else in the universe, or
Yeah.
like just a place in another dimension?
No, it was in the universe somewhere. I was living most of my lifetimes out there, and I had come here for a reason. We spread out in the universe. I mean, you're not destined to only be from Earth. Okay, we have a lot to learn, spiritually learn, and I know that we go to different places for different reasons. But I originated somewhere else in the universe. I just come to Earth for certain specific reasons sometimes.
Would you consider that place home?
Yes, I would. Absolutely. I don't feel at home here at all. I know I have home somewhere.
Well, you've had 2 NDEs, so let's move on to your next one.
I'm a young woman, and I didn't know it, but I was developing juvenile diabetes. I was much older when it hit me. I was about 27, and I started getting really, really sick. And again, I started dropping weight. Dropping weight's a big deal for me sometimes. I dropped 50 pounds in 1 month.
Wow.
And I was really, really sick. And my dad's brother was passing, and they all flew to Chicago to be with the family and help them out. And I stayed home. It was Christmas time. And I remember passing out a lot. And I was going to put the ornaments from the tree away. Christmas was canceled, let's put it that way. And I kept waking up on the floor thinking, how am I what's going on? I was disoriented as all get out. And my dog, I don't know what the heck had possessed him, but the Christmas tree was in the foyer and the stairs come down. And he dive bombed. The tree went right into it, and everything went everywhere. I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to deal with this? Now the tree's all over the place. And I made it up the stairs. I went in my room to lay down to consider how the hell I'm going to do this. And I keep feeling like I can't do this anymore. I gave up. I mean, I literally gave up. Something was overtaking me, what I didn't realize, and it was going into a coma. And I kept saying, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. And I hear this voice say, no. And I'm like, what? And it said, no, get the phone, no. And there was a phone on my bedside table. And I reached over. I didn't even try to look for it. I just reached it and grabbed it with my hand, and the base fell down to the floor. It's the old days, when we had cords. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, how am I going to dial this? It's the receiver. And I started pulling on the cord, and I got it up on the bed. And the only thing I could think to do was to call my mother. I have an eidetic memory. If I have memorized phone numbers like nobody's business. And I knew where she was because she wasn't there in Chicago. She had flown to Miami because her brother started to pass away. And so I called her in Miami at my aunt's house. My aunt answered the phone and she said, they're all at the hospital. What do you want? And I said, I need my mother to come home right now. Something's wrong. And I passed out, I guess, because they lost contact with me. They said they could hear me, but that's it, breathing. My aunt called my mother called my brother, and my brother called his best friend, Neil, who lived around the block from us, to come and get me and drive me to the ER, okay? Neil kicked the door in. He couldn't, it was locked. He got me downstairs. He put me in his little teeny MG and I was living in Atlanta then, and he took me to Grady Hospital, which is a really big hospital. I was out cold, and he said I died in the car. I expired in the car. What I remember about that is coming to, or I thought I came to, and I realized I'm in this dinky little car, and I'm trying to tell him, slow down, because I see the speedometer, he's going 100 miles an hour down the road. And he didn't hear me because I was dead. They got me there. He drove right up the ramp into the ER bay, started honking. They came running. They yanked me out of the car. He said they worked on me for a little while before they brought him back there. I don't know how long they worked on me. He said that they figured it out really, really fast what was happening to me. And they hung IVs on me with insulin in it. They had to resuscitate me and, shock me to bring me back. And while all this is going on, I'm talking to some guy who's talking to me, but now I see him, and he's, I get an idea that I know him, but I don't, it's like, he didn't look like I thought he should look. He was very white, and he had white hair, and he was wearing a white suit, clothes, like an orderly. And he's talking to me, and he's telling me what's going on, and he's telling me what I need to know and to be calm, and it's okay, and blah, 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 blah. and he's not going to leave me. He's going to stay with me. I was shocked. He stayed with me literally in the hospital after they brought me back. He stayed, could see him for like 24 hours. I could still see him. I thought he took me up to the ICU, and I was wrong. He followed me, but nobody else saw him. I thought he brought me there. They told me, no. You're brought up here by somebody else. I was looking for him. I was like, his name is Steven. He told me his name is Steven. I was totally freaked out about the whole thing. I found out later, years later, because I thought he might be an angel or something, or a guide or whatever. My brother's best friend, Neil, who came to get me, his brother had just died less than, 15 days earlier in a tragic accident. And that was him. I realized now that was him. He was with me, stayed with me. And I don't know if it's because Neil came and got me and he hung out with Neil or whatever. But before Neil even got there, he was talking to me in my room saying, no, get out. And that just weirded me out. What happened to me when I passed was very strange. I did not go to the other realm. I was literally walking around, watching things as they happen. And I have this like dual memory of everything. I have a memory of what I saw, what I felt, and then now I'm overlaying it with what everybody told me. But I have Steve in there with me the whole time. It confused me for a long time. I was like, this is just too weird. I'm in like two different realms at the same time. It was weird.
It's kind of like you're what people may say bilocated.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I felt. I was hearing and seeing things. I don't think your brain totally goes dead when you die. I think I was physically listening to everything, and then I was spiritually outside seeing everything, and I'm overlaying it somehow. I had that duality of knowing from two ends of the spectrum what's going on. But I didn't leave because Steven wouldn't let me. He was hanging on to me, hard hanging on to me. So,
did you describe to Neil what Steven looked like, and then he verified that, yes, that's my brother?
Yes, I did it at my brother's funeral. This happened, I'm not kidding you, like in the last year. My brother passed away from COVID. And I don't want to go into it because I'll start crying. But at the funeral afterwards, at the wake, afterwards, the family all got together. Neil was there because Neil is my brother's best friend. And we started talking, and Neil said, I remember when I came and got you, we talked about it. And I said, yes, somebody by the name of Steven. I saw this person, his name was Steven, and I described him to him because he started asking me, what is a sheep when I talked? I said, Dolly, just a minute. And he opened up his wallet and he pulled a picture out and he said, is this him? And I was like, oh my God, that's him. That's him. That's him. I realized Steven is his brother. And the connections just blew my mind. Totally blew my mind. It's like, oh my God. We all got the creeps. Our skin was running, We all wondered if Steven and my brother were hanging out laughing at us. I mean, it was just really wild.
Now, you said that you came from a psychic family. Yes. So I'm assuming you at least had some psychic ability before even your first NDE. Did either one of them increase your psychic ability or give you any new abilities?
I was already toying with being OBE at the age of 5. But after that happened to me, I was fully able to walk out of my own body at will after that, realizing that I wasn't going to stay there, but I could come and go as I pleased. And I started going OBE at a very young age. I didn't know what I was doing or how I was doing it. I just know that I did it. I've done it my whole life now. The other thing that happened to me was I see energy. I see auras all the time. I can see spirits as they're walking around. And I can tell if it's a spirit that's somebody's passed, and they're just hanging out versus one that's like a dimensional spirit, or, I can also tell if it's bad. I can tell if you're a negative entity or a spirit. I know.
What's the difference between them?
A negative spirit is false. It won't tell you the truth. It'll try to lie to you all the time. And when you're psychic, you can hear the truth. You know the truth. You feel it. You can read their mind. Literally, even in spirit, you can read their mind. Okay. And they can't fool me. I know. They can present as anything they want. And you can't fool me. I know what you are. And they're dark and they're angry and they just have a lot of bad feelings in them. They're constantly thinking. They don't stop, and they rage sometimes even. A positive spirit or a healthy spirit, I call them healthy, they're very light, they're very happy. Some of them are confused, they don't know where they are. I found in my life sometimes I'll go OB and take them by the hand and say, come follow me. I'm going to take you somewhere good. And they'll follow me into the light, and I can come back from that. I can tell if you're like, I'm an ET contact, okay, contactee. And I know I now have learned in my lifetime that they as well are spirit like we are. We're all the same thing. And, but I can tell who they are. In other words, if you're not coming from this realm, from this earth and this 3D plane, I can tell that where you're from. I can look at you and see you for who you really are. It's kind of interesting. I mean, it's like walking in a world of energy, soup, and light, I've had real demons come after me. Once in a while, I had one. This is a weird story. I was working in the Army and I was coming home. It was 2 a.m. I was tired. Tired. It was bloody raining. I lived 50 miles from the base. And I was coming up my road. I lived up on top of Pine Mountain in a cabin. And there was this big tree overhanging the road. And I saw something up in it in the lights. And I thought, what is that? And just as I started to come under the tree, it jumped out of the tree and hit my windshield, claws bared, down my windshield and down the front of my truck. And it was no kidding. It was a gargoyle, a big black gargoyle. And it was like this big. And when it hit the ground in front of my truck, I did not stop. I ran over it, okay? And I didn't bump. It didn't go under my tires, but I ran over it. It centered under my truck. I drove home at 90 miles an hour after that, got my shotgun and sat on the front porch and just waited for it. I thought, coming for me, I'm going to get you. Because it was real. It had, I heard it plop my windshield. I was terrified. It beat the windshield up. It left claw marks in the glass. So, yeah, those exist. Demons are real. They happen.
Do you think that they just manifested into our dimension and then it just went out of the dimension?
Yeah, I think that energy sometimes lightens up and lets them in. It thins out the energy, the veils between the dimensions, and they can come in. Yep. People call them portals. They can just come in and out of stuff like that, I guess.
Do you think it had any intention to you personally, or you were just somebody that happened to be walking by randomly?
No, it was waiting for me. I felt that. It was up in the tree watching me come, waiting for me. I don't know how I know that. I just do.
Oh.
It had me in its sights and I was on its mind. Yeah.
Why?
And I think it didn't realize that I wouldn't stop for it or try to look at it. And then when it hit my windshield, when it came out of the tree and hit my windshield, I was like, no, not happening. And it literally, the momentum of the truck and me trying to slow down shot it off the front of the truck down the front grate and hit the ground. And I wasn't having any of that either. I ran it over. I was not staying for that. Ooh.
Since you grew up in a psychic family, were you guys religious at all as well, or more kind of like spiritual or new age?
I was raised by, half of my family is Christian and the other half is Jewish. And I was raised to understand what they both are. My father wanted me to research and learn about all religions because he felt they were valuable for me to process through all that. So yes, I'm spiritual. I've had a spiritual upbringing, and I've learned to search for the truth of things through all knowledge. In other words, you know all that is knowable, and then you proceed. That was the motto in our home. And so all religions had something to say, and it gave me the opportunity to learn them and then make up my own mind what I believed myself. That was their goal and how they taught me.
After your second NDE, did you reevaluate your first one and, made changes about your ideas of the afterlife compared to the first time?
Absolutely. I knew I was learning from, because I'm a contactee, I was learning from ET at the same time, as well as my family. And I was starting to see and piece together what the universe really is, what the spirit or the entity of mind that the universe really is. ETs call it all mind, the all mind. We call it God. Okay, it's the same thing. It is creation itself, and it's intelligent, and it thinks, and it cares deeply for us. We're part of it. We're all one in it. Okay. And I realized that I was trying to figure out the construct of mind and spirituality and what it meant to be conscious versus physical. I really went on a super quest after that to just lay it all out for myself to understand. I had AT teaching me about it, and then I had what I was learning here about it, and I just sort of came to some really serious conclusions about it, and that is that we are intelligent beings, conscious, who are non-corporeal in source, okay? And we come here to learn. When you're in source, you've got everything at your fingertips. You can learn anything, you know everything. Everything is, it's just part of the existence of being in source. But you can't employ it. You can't become wise from that, okay? We can give our children everything and spoil them rotten with knowledge and love and la 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 la, and they can be complete failures in life because they don't know what to do with it. They don't understand how it works. What you have to do is come to a physical realm so that you learn everything. You teach yourself. You become, you wear it like a coat, okay? I find it interesting in the Bible. It says, Jesus Christ says, put on your white robes. And it dawned on me, light, white, wisdom, put on your white robes. And that really pushed me forward. And I was like, okay, so I can employ, once I learn it and I experience it for myself, and I can employ my knowledge, that helps me ascend consciously. And I become more mature, and I become more aware, and I become more able to navigate through what this is to be in this physical realm. It's extremely valuable learning here. And then I learned, from Hindu and from Buddha and from other religions that we do recycle. We come back and forth. I learned about what DNA was and how that connects to us spiritually. Our DNA is what attracts us to be in the physical form. And our DNA is as precious and individual to us as anything else. There's a huge template of what life really is in us, around us, and among us. And it was I'm still learning. I don't know it all. I just, I'm not perfect by any means, but I'm learning. And I think that's really, really cool. And it did spur that on in me. I mean, it showed me what path to really take. Am I going to sit here and play with all the toys here, or am I really going to dig in and do what I need to do to move on? And that's where I went.
I really like that term, all mind. And would you say that when we go to the other side and join or become one with source or God or all mind, it's like all of our minds collectively as one coming together?
Yeah.
And we kind of lose of our identity? Because
I'm psychic and aware, I already know this because I can hear it and see it and feel it. I'm connected to the all mind. I download from it. It communicates. Everything in the universe is part of that, and it knows everything. The all mind is very chatty. You can hear it at any time. In the Bible, you're taught to go somewhere and seclude yourself and pray, right? And expect answers. Seeking you will find. We have the ability to do that on our own. You have a pineal gland in your head. I'm a nurse, so I've learned some things about our physical form and how we operate. And it fascinated me to find out that there's a gland in your brain that's near where you think and transmit, your brain transmits from, that looks just like your eyeball. It's exactly composed, just like your eye. It's just minus the lens. And then it actually picks up transmission and it transmits out as well. I learned that we think in alpha, beta, theta, gamma, delta, okay? And when you're psychic, you're transmitting on those wavelengths. You can hear it. That's frequency, okay? And if we all just opened our brains up and started using that, you'd know what I've learned so far. And that is that you're right. The all mind is totally, you would see it, you would feel it, you would hear it. Because I'm not walking in the same world that I was when I was a kid. Things were locked up from me. I couldn't perceive things as they really are. I couldn't see the depth of energy. I couldn't see, spirit around me or anything. I couldn't hear it. Oh boy, do I now. And it's like, we all can do that. That's what I profoundly learned about this, is that we are interconnected. We are all profoundly aware. I can hear people thinking. I know what they I emote. I emotionally emote to them. I'm empathic with them. It's not scary to me anymore at all. I've lost all my fear of all of it because I'm learning. It's teaching. It's very, very cool.
Interesting that you said it's not scary to you anymore.
Right. I was afraid as a small child. Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't know what I was looking at. You know, I didn't understand that. You know, it's like when you're a kid and you're in a group of kids and some mean kid suddenly starts picking on you and it shocks you because you've never had that happen before. And it frightens you a little bit. This person frightens you. Well, that's what it's like to be psychically cut off from everything and then have it come in on you and you see it and you go, ooh, what is that? And you learn to work past that and to lose your fear because it can't hurt you. You're eternal. You can't be hurt. Okay. Not at all. Not really. The body might, but you can get past that even also. There's things you can do. And so, yeah, it was a process that taught me no fear.
Has the memory of those two experiences faded over the years?
No. Not at all. They're as embedded in my mind as they ever were. I mean, I can close my eyes and replay them at any time. I can think it's part of who I am. I remember feeling the way I did. I remember what it felt like. I wonder about other people who have had NDEs as well, you know, and the few that I've talked to can tell me the same thing. It's just like you're there, you know, you never forget. It's on you at all times.
Would you say that it's more real on the other side than here, or the same, or was it dreamlike?
I think there's two perspectives with this that I've learned. Okay. When you're in the physical body and you think about it, your physical mind will try to play it out to you that way because that's the only way it remembers. It's like a movie that you watched, you know, a dream, as you say. But when you're connected to your spiritual self, your true consciousness remembers it as it actually is. And that is reality. Strangely, your conscious mind is the real and your physical body is just an experiencer that can only play back or learn from this particular perspective in this realm, in this flat, gravity-heavy 3D perspective. It's a weird thing to think about, but it's true. Your physical mind just can't totally grasp it without your higher consciousness there to commune with it and, you know, hold you through that thought, you know?
After your second NDE, how do you think your life has changed?
I started walking how do I put this? A deliberate path. I started walking a deliberate path. I was all over the place before that. And then I knew I had to deliberately zero in on what I was meant to do and search for it and actually become and do what it wanted, you know, what I realized that I made a decision before I even got here that this was the life I was going to lead. And I knew deep down, my consciousness was telling me, we're here for a reason. You have to play this out. And you have to learn to get rid of all the other distractions and stay on that path. And that's what I did. I zeroed in on it. And no matter how hard it was or what was trying to push me away from it, I stayed in that path. I still am. I mean, I'm not done. You know, it's a daily thing.
Do you mind sharing with us what your purpose is here?
Hopefully it's the same one that everybody has in life. And that is that I'm here to work out and heal anything that my soul needs working on. Okay. To lose it, let it go, drop it in the lifetime that I'm in so that I can focus on what spiritually the universe is trying to teach me. That's a hard thing to, you know, fathom. And it's a daily exercise. And, you know, I meditate, I think about it, what's up today, that kind of thing. I mean, I have steps that I take every day. I focus on remembering that I'm not alone. I'm here with everybody else, that I can't ignore everybody else. If you need help and I'm standing next to you, I will give you help. Okay. That's part of how we learn to love. Love is the most important thing that we do as consciousness. It teaches us everything we need to know. It teaches us how to be present. It teaches us how to be careful. It teaches us how to see and not be distracted. Like, okay, when I'm a nurse and I'm in an ER, okay, and I got a patient come in and everything's falling apart on them, everything. We assess it, rapidly assess it, and we go straight to what it's going to take to make this person stable first, and then get them on the path to healing, okay? That's how you should treat your life. And you should treat it as if you're not the only one in this ER. You have others. So while you're working on yourself, every now and then you got to have somebody come in that needs your attention, and you give it to them, you know? It is an existential thing to exist here. We have to eat, we have to sleep, we have to take care of ourselves, love one another. There are things that we must do to exist here. And those need to be met first for ourselves and anybody else who's around us. And then while you're doing that, while you got that path going on, you got to walk through that one and decide in your own self, well, what is it that I'm going to do here? What's my purpose? And your purpose is to, I'm going to say it again, learn all that is learnable and then proceed. Know all that is knowable and then proceed. And weird thing, when you start focusing like that, stuff comes at you every day or once a month or once a week, and you have little goals that you can set for yourself and you attain them, and you look back and you go, wow, I learned about that. That's cool. I can do this. That's really cool. I mean, it's just a series of jumps that you make in attaining knowledge while you're considering not just yourself, but everybody else around you. You cooperate, work together, everything.
Would you consider yourself a starseed?
Yes, I am. I know for a fact I am. I had my DNA pulled, and I found out that I call it Heinz 57 Mad Dog Mix, okay? Mm-hmm. I have a little bit of everything, but I have all the ethnicities that I have in me are all starseed people. I have Nordic Sami, I have Russian Sami, which is native peoples. I'm Ostahatchee Cherokee. I am Peruvian. I have Japanese. I have Korean. I have Chinese, Mongolian. I have English, Irish, Scottish, French, German, you name it, Celtic, you name it. Oh my God. I'm all over the place. I have everything. I even have African, East African Bantu, West African Bantu, and I have some East African as well. We found out we did ancestry, and I found my 5th great grandmother on my mother's side was a slave. Her name was Mary Patterson. And she was freed by her owner who she had children with. And I've come down from that. Yeah. So pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you even have some Neanderthal in you?
I have a neck blood, and when they did my DNA, they found out that I have negative rhesus blood, but yeah, there is Neanderthal in me. I have strictly Basque. They did find Basque in me. I'm connected to the Basque people. So.
What do you think inspires you about your NDEs?
That's a good question. I have never thought about that. What inspires me about it? I'm reassured. I guess that's a better word for me. I'm more reassured than anything, because it's absolute personal proof to me that death is nothing. There's no end to who I am. There's no cessation of my consciousness. It goes on and on and on. I am who I am. It allows me to operate in a little bit different mode than most people who don't know that. I am constantly aware of the responsibility of how I should be operating now, because I know the truth. Okay. That's a big deal. Once you come to that realization, that's a really big deal. It's an actual, it's a gift to be known that, it's a real gift. And that is inspiring, I guess, if you look at it that way. That's a giant gift in my lifetime.
Do you think it's possible that while a lot of people are here on Earth at this time or any time, that they're really not doing what they should be doing? They're lost. They're not fulfilling their purpose. And if so, what kind of advice would you give to people in general to kind of get them back on track?
To realize that while we live here, that there are two kinds of energy. There's negative and positive. There's yin and yang, good and bad, evil and purity. And in this particular realm that we're in, this world, this 3D earth that we're in, it is a constant annoyance to us that we are bombarded with it all the time with the negative aspects. They're kind of like almost overtaking us. And that's why people are confused. They're cut off by the negativity. And one of the first things I say when you're trying to figure things out is you need to drop all of the annoyances around you, all the things coming at you that will block you from understanding where you're going and what you're doing. You can't meditate if you have constant, horrible, terrible, negative, emotional stuff coming at you, which means turn off the bad music. Music is healing or can harm, and listen to that which feeds your soul, not eats it. Okay? Turn off the TV. Stop listening to other people gripe, moan, and complain. Just drop it. Let it go. Try to find your self-love, yourself first. Heal yourself. If you don't heal yourself first, you're not going to do anything. And that is my struggle my whole life. Everybody has to do it. There are different stages of healing that we go through in our lifetime, and you have to pay attention to it. You know, it's like being in an airplane and the stewardess says when the masks drop, you got a 5-year-old sitting next to you, don't put it on the 5-year-old, put it on yourself first, because you can't help them if you're passed out. Okay? And that's what life is. Help yourself so that you can do what you got to do. If you're constantly choking the life out of yourself, you're not going to make it. So stop doing that. Start looking for things that are helpful to yourself, sustainable to yourself. And that's a good first step. And once you start doing that, then reach out, mentally reach out, meditate, find your equilibrium within yourself and your mind. First thing a guru or a yogi or anybody would tell you is, if you meditate for this reason. You have to go within to go without. You have to know yourself first before you seek the answers outside of yourself. And that's important. That's the first good meditation to begin. And that's just start walking it, put one foot in front of the other. And it doesn't matter whether you fail or anything. Always keep going, always try every day. Be present every day of your life. Don't worry about the past. The future hasn't happened yet. You're right near, right now. Every 5 minutes of your day, you're still where you're at. Be present for it. And it'll help. It'll work.
Do you fear death at all?
No, no, not at all. I don't die. That's the point. We don't die.
Mm. Even though you've been to the other side and you know what it's like, when people around you still die, well, not really die, but transition over, do you feel happiness that you know that they're going to an amazing place, or do you feel also sadness because they're not going to be here anymore?
Well, that's the duality of life and death for us, because we have attachments here, people we love, people who we're used to seeing and depend on every day. And when that person is going, you're ripped a little bit. The duality thing starts happening big time, because yes, you're going to miss that person. You want that relationship to go on. What you don't realize, because you can't see what happens after that, is that they're still with you. They're still around. They've just gone to, they're not really gone either. They're with you at all times. I love the Japanese religion of Shinto, because they know that. They believe that their family always surrounds them. They're helpful. They have helpful energy coming on them. And that's what it is to me. When you pass away, I see you leave your body. I know that you're there. I see people walking around all the time. A friend of mine just lost someone in his family. And we were talking on the phone, and this person who just passed showed up in the room with me because he knew he was around him, followed me through the energy from our conversation and said, tell him to OBE to me now, because he knows how to OBE. And I'm like, okay. And I told him that. And he said, okay, fine. And he hung up, and he did. And sure enough, he was right there. He was waiting for him. Talk to him. That's the relationship we have with these people. We're not really parted from them. They're not totally gone. Just because they're not physical with us, we still have that relationship. If you can't hear them or see them yet, don't forget to talk to them every day. And then look for signs that they're around you. They'll give them to you. You'll smell them, you'll feel them. Things will happen. People think I got poltergeists in my house. Well, maybe. Maybe it's your aunt who just passed away, your grandmother or your brother, sister, mother, whoever, and they're trying to let you know, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. You know, don't think you're crazy for thinking that. You're not. It's true. It happens. They're there. You know, the veil is very thin between people who love one another, or even people who know one another. You can see that. You can feel it.
What kind of advice do you give to people or your friends who lose someone to transition to the other side and are grieving?
It's okay to be sad about it. Okay. It's okay to grieve. That relationship has changed. Okay. It's okay because you have to. I mean, your physical body is lost something. Your physical existence has lost something. And anything that we lose, we have to work through it. Okay. Whether it's an animal or anything in our life that's big, that means something to us, especially a loved one. And take time to do the grieving, take time to work it out. Mentally search for ways to help heal yourself through that and to console yourself, and then talk about it with others. Don't be alone in your grief. And talking about somebody that's passed is important because it keeps them ever fresh in your heart and your mind. It draws them to you. If you cut things off from yourself and you erase it from your physical mind, and that's pain. Don't let it be pain. Let it be happiness. Embrace the memory. Embrace the love. That's my best advice to everybody. Just embrace it. The most precious thing you can do for yourself is to embrace it.
It's interesting that you mentioned an animal. Do you think our pets are also with us on the other side?
Yes. Yeah. We're all spirit. We're all consciousness. They have DNA like we do. We're actually related to them. And they choose that life form for a reason. And they're only in it for a short time, but they're working something through. And on the other side, yes, they're there with us. You will meet up with your pets as well as other animals that were decided to be enthralled, in a lifetime.
All right, Dolly, I didn't ask you before we started, but do you have anything that you want to share with people, like a website or a book or a class or anything?
I have just come out in the last, I've been talking to Preston for, 6 years, and he's been vetting me through all this and writing the book. So the book just came out about what I've been going through in my life. I have a website with videos of my experiences with the ET, but I am going to start putting out videos and talking about psychic ability, what all this is. I'm going to start teaching people and helping people to meditate and stuff like that. So it'll be on my YouTube channel, and it's just Dolly Safran, and it's coming soon. I'm in the process of moving right now. I'm going off grid somewhat. And so once I get all settled in, then I'll be able to do that. And so you'll see more and more of me. And I'm talking also on the circuit about my experience as ET. And a lot of what we're talking about actually gets thrown into that because it's all related. It's all the same. We're very close. It's all interconnected, I guess. Like we have symbiosis with everything. And this is one of those things that is very symbiotic for us in our existence. So, yeah. So that's how you get a hold of me. I'm also on Facebook. So if you chat me up on Facebook, I'll answer you.
All right, great. So is your YouTube and your website available now?
Yes, my YouTube is up.
Okay.
And it's just, my YouTube name is just Dolly Safran.
Okay.
And if you're watching something or you just send me a message somewhere in one of the videos or whatever, I will answer you. I'll endeavor to answer you. And if you want to be friends with me on Facebook, just, ask, and I'm pretty chatty. So
all right, well, I'll put the link to your YouTube channel in the video and any other links if you have, like your website.
Nope, not yet. Like I said, this is all so new, and I'm trying to work that out. I've been told I probably need like a web page or whatever. And so we're working on that right now. It's being built. So
okay.
That's soon to come.
Well, once it's up, send it to me, and then I'll put it in the description of this video. All right, Dolly. Well, before we finish up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
Embrace love. Embrace all that love implies. Embrace the consciousness of it, the work of it, excel in it, and you will be fine.
Dolly, thank you for that message. Probably my audience knows that, I also do videos on ETs and stuff, and you talked about all this stuff, but I was just saving it because I want to get you and Preston back to do a whole nother video with you just about your ET experience.
Okay. I'm sure he would love to do that.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you that don't know, Preston is a UFO author, and he's been on with me as well. It was a long time ago, and he's a pretty prolific author, and I think he's written about 20 books.
He's written 29.
29.
And he has 30 and 31 about to come out. Yeah. Yep.
So it should be a fun podcast if we get all three of us together.
Yeah.
All right, Dolly, well, have a great rest of your day, and thanks again for being my guest.
You're very welcome, and thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.